Coming up on BYU basketball with Kevin Young, the Cougs get a big wire-to-wire win over the Pokes in Provo. Now it's out on the road for back-to-back away games starting Saturday at Utah. And we're setting the table with the coach and Trevin Knell as our special guest. And it's all next on BYUtv and ESPN+.
BYU basketball with Kevin Young is presented by Siegfried and Jensen, helping Utah families for over 30 years.
Okay. Hello once again. Good evening, Cougar Nation. Welcome back inside Studio C in the BYU Broadcasting Building here on the BYU campus in Provo, Utah. It's our exclusive check-in on the BYU men's basketball program. We've got a live studio audience. What a tremendous studio audience we have here tonight, by the way. I think you need to give yourselves another hand because of how great you all are. And we're also live and on demand via the BYU TV and BYU radio apps and ESPN+. Coming up on tonight's show, we will, among other things, look back at Tuesday night's win over Oklahoma State at the Marriott Center. We will play Around the World with JT, Jonathan Tavernari, profiling Brody Kozlowski. Trevin Knell is our guest in studio tonight. Always great to have Trev here. He'll have a run of the game we're calling Ice Picks. More on that later. Of course, have an audience Q&A segment with the coach and Trevin, and a BYU Hoops trivia question later in the program as well. Let's begin tonight's program by welcoming in a man whose coaching journey has taken him from Georgia to Utah to Ireland to Utah again, to Iowa, to Delaware, to Pennsylvania, to Arizona, and finally back to the Beehive State at BYU. He's the head coach of your Cougar Hoopsters, Kevin Young. Good to see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Another good crowd warmed up for you, and great to be coming in off a win, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, much needed. Yeah, guys responded, to a little adversity. It's good to be home, do it in front of the home crowd, and, we took care of business. It
was a little adversity. You'd lost a few in a row, and when that happens, tendency to tinker as opposed to stay the course, and what's the fine balance in between there?
I think you got to just have perspective. Everything, sports are so fragile. I think we're 3 or 4 plays away from being, in a totally different, I think, conference record. Even that Ole Miss game was basically a one-possession game. So, you don't cry about it. You try to just keep things into perspective with the guys. Sky's not falling. We're right there type of message. And that being said, obviously we did tinker with a couple of things with some lineups and some different combinations and, just trying to, find that balance. I think for me, learning along the way is, we didn't face a lot of adversity in non-conference. We kind of plowed through that schedule. So, I think we're sort of paying the price, I think, for that kind of weak non-conference schedule and having to learn things kind of on the fly in the Big 12.
How nice is it to be able to lean on and lean into veteran leadership at times like this, though?
It's critical, Even today at practice, we were putting some guys, simulating some end-of-game situations, and that the group that I had, which was a veteran-laden group, made some mistakes. And I said, hey, guys, look what we have. We got 5 veterans. You guys are on this team right now for a reason in this situation. We got to rely on you guys. And they've embraced it. They've been great as far as, telling stories from last year, but then, just relying on what we're trying to do this year and kind of merge the two.
How much are you still learning from the guys who are able to tell the stories? Because they're new to you, too, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I feel pretty good. I feel like we've been with these guys long enough now where there's some good trust, I think, between all of us. And learning who can be vocal about that, who internalizes things, and just trying to pull, that vocalness out of them and shed light with just the young guys and the staff as well.
We'll get into it more in a second with some highlights, but a wire-to-wire win for you on Tuesday, but a wild win just the same because it didn't have the same characteristic from start to finish. They put a pretty good push on you.
They did, and it's hard to keep a lead nowadays in basketball with the three-point shot and just kind of the pace of play. We had some costly turnovers and they got hot. They weren't hitting many threes and we had to adjust to their three-point shooting. But in the grand scheme, I thought it was good for our guys to have to I think, one, respond to where we're at in our season holistically, and then two, in a game like that where, things were going our way, and then mid-game we faced quite a bit of adversity as well. And to be able to, sort of gut it out, if you will, and kind of change course correct in the middle of the game was important. I thought that's where Dallin and Yegor's, collective leadership really stood out.
Also great to be able to rely on a crowd that senses the moment too. There was a point where the lead slipped and it got kind of quiet, and they realized, wait, it's too quiet. And the crowd kind of got everyone going again to say, hey, we're still in this thing, let's go. And it seemed like it helped, and the guys drew some energy from that too. Yeah,
I mean, our crowd is, one of the best in the country. It's not just loud, it's people out here know basketball. It's such a big part of, I think the culture out here. And so being able to rely on that along with the energy that they provide is a big boost. Great crowd as always. And
we're in the back half of the regular season now. You're still early in the conference campaign, but in terms of the regular season, you're more than halfway now in. Has it flown by for you?
I mean, I feel like every year sort of you blink and you're like, man, I can't believe we've already played X number of games. Even more so in college, just with the such fewer games than what I'm used to. So, right. Yeah, it does. Every year it feels like that.
Consecutive away games coming up, and one of them is in-state. This may be feel like a true away game, but it is on the Hill on Saturday. Important stretch here for you guys. You do play the next two away from home.
It is. We got to lock in on the road. Obviously, the Utah game will provide its own challenge with the rivalry. Obviously, my first time through it. Looking forward to that challenge and just that tradition, being able to be a part of it. This year I think having some fresh transfers from Utah, both on the playing side and coaching side, will provide an interesting dynamic up there, I'm sure, along with the football deal that went on this year. So that'll be fun. But again, whether it's up there, whether it's Colorado, we got to take care of business on the road.
Yeah, Keba Keita played against BYU last year for Utah. Coach Burgess, who was already here, was there coaching against BYU last year. And on the flip side, Hunter Erickson played here. He's up there. Caleb Lohner played here. He's up there. Jake Walleen committed here. He's up there. So there, a lot of crossover.
I mean, for as much bad blood as the two schools have, there's a lot of traitors, going on. But no, it'll be fun for sure.
What's the right approach for you right now? Because it is so new to you. How much stock are you putting in the rivalry at this point?
Honestly, I hadn't really put much thought into it until today in our coaches meeting. We had some discussion about it. Being able to rely on guys like Trevin and guys like, Foose, who this will be their last time kind of going through that up there, getting a chance to win on their court. So, we'll have a good, fun discussion tomorrow with the group about it. But even only half joking, talking with the staff, Nate Austin's been a part of a lot of these games too, and him and Burgess. And so I can tell those guys have a little different energy, going into this game. So it'll be fun.
And one thing that makes it different too is this is the first time in a long time that it's the first of two regular season meetings, because they haven't been in the same league for so long. The last time they were in the same league and BYU was up there, Jimmer went for 47 and BYU won big, and that was when they were seeing each other twice a year, every year. So it's been a while that way.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a 47 outburst from one of our guys. So maybe I'll call Jimmer and see if he can get on a Zoom and get us fired up.
A non-BYU note, but a guy that's committed to play for you. I got some great news this week. Maybe you could fill us in a bit about what this means for AJ Dibonsa. He's named to the USA Nike Hoop Summit roster. It's a game coming up in April, I think, in Portland. What is the Nike Hoop Summit for Team USA, and why is it a big deal for him and for BYU?
Yeah, so it's basically a collection of the best American prospects versus the world prospects. Just so it's the best players in the world in that respective class. And they do a competition up in Oregon where the American guys will face off against the international guys. So you look at the NBA, it's like a who's who of all the American guys and internationals both in the league have played in that game. So I was talking with him yesterday about that. He's excited. He's played in it, I believe, before. So it's just add it to the list of accolades for him.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Boozers are in it. I mean, it's a star-studded roster at that age level, right?
Yep.
All right, Tuesday night, this past Tuesday at the Marriott Center, BYU was looking to stop a 3-game slide with Oklahoma State in town. Let's take a look back at some stats and highlights presented by Intermountain Health, official medical provider for BYU athletics. Let's look at the individuals. First up, we'll highlight some guys. We'll start with our in-studio guest tonight, Trevin Knell. Trevin, on Tuesday, game high, 18 points. His second highest output this season. Most points in a game for him since December 11th. 4 of 9 from 3. So now he's 1 away from 200 threes. Yes, he's at 199 going into the Utah game. He'd be the 7th BYU player with 200 threes in his Cougar career. Big night for Trev.
Yeah, it was a big night, and I think collectively we did a good job of spacing the floor. I think our guys are getting used to a lot of the aggressive nature of the Big 12 defenses. We've had a hard time, in my opinion, really being able to punish teams with how aggressive they are. I thought in this game in particular, we did a nice job of that. Really held spacing extremely well. I think a third of our shots were corner threes, which is a super high quality shot if you're an analytic nerd like me. And Trev was a big part of that. But I think, when guys like him are able to get going, it's really a testament to our spacing and our overall team ball movement. He's a guy, if you leave him open, it's going in.
And a lot of games we've been able to see Trev get hot from 3, so 4 threes, no big deal for him. Dallin Hall had 14 on the night, ties his season high. A perfect shooting night for Dallin as well. He was 4 of 4 from the floor, including 3 for 3 from 3. He added 3 assists, 28 minutes off the bench because he's been a starter. Now he's coming off as a reserve, and huge back-to-back threes for him in the second half as the lead got down. He helped to push it back up for you.
No doubt. I mean, I view him as a starter. He's a guy that's just wildly important to what we're doing. I think the big thing with him, it wasn't even the shot making. When you look at the 6 for 6, it was the timely shots that he made. We were looking for somebody to step up in big moments, and he was able to deliver 2 big ones in that game. And then, like I said, him and Yegor kind of taking turns, grabbing the bull by the horns in moments where we needed to get quality possessions. I thought he was really good there. I just think he's got to continue to be aggressive like he was in that game. Hopefully that gives him a little nudge moving forward.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys too that's been through the battles. This is you rely on guys like that in moments like that.
No, for sure. And he's been like you say, he's been through it, and he's been great for me because we're searching, we're trying to find the right combinations, and he's been very adaptable to all the different situations we've put him in.
Okay, Richie Saunders had 12 points on 3 of 5 shooting. 7th game with Richie for multiple threes this year. He's 6th in the Big 12 in scoring right now in conference games. And he's also making his free throws, 9 of his last 10 at the line. And we're going to see if this Saturday Richie can get his first stretch of 3 straight games in double-figure scoring. He'd be a pretty good candidate to do it.
He would. He's having a great year. I think he's really embracing the role of, just more of a main guy. I think he's been a glue guy in the past. We've challenged him to, just kind of step up in all areas. He's answered the bell, so far. He had a couple quiet games after that 30-point outburst against ASU, so it was good to see him, finding shots and guys looking for him. But he's a huge part of what we're doing. It's
a good basketball league. To be top 6 in scoring says a lot about his talent.
It does, and it's he's opened a lot of eyes. I think in the country, both in the college space, but also at the next level. I get a lot of calls about him.
Keba Keita was 1 rebound shy of a double-double in this game. Let's take a look at Keba. 10 points, 9 rebounds, most points in a game for him since December 11th. He's had 9 or more boards in 4 of his last 5 games. He's made 6 of his last 8 from the field. He's top 10 in the Big 12 in rebounding in conference games.
He's been rock solid for us. I thought he had a couple quiet games in a row where I challenged him and Foose both to just kind of give us more force. Play with a little bit more nastiness, a little bit more dog. I thought, again, he's a product of that spacing as well. You got a lot of shooting, you can't guard it all, and you see some of those roll dunks he had. But him and Foose both are kind of unsung heroes for us with how much screening, rolling, physicality they provide on the offensive end. Trying to get them to do that on the defensive end as well. But, Keba's a guy, I think, who's kind of climbing for sure.
Rolled an ankle early in the year, missed a game because of it, got right back into things. Did it take him a while to get back into where he feels like he's himself again, or was he been there for a while, do you think?
I think he's been there for a while. I think with him, it's, he's such a quiet guy. You know, for as athletic and big and strong as he is, you know, it doesn't really match his personality, you know. And so I like I said, and Foose is the same way, just, you know, just teddy bears of guys. And so you want them to have a little bit more, you know, bravado when they step between the lines. So kind of challenging them there. I think we you know, worked on some stuff today to kind of up their physicality, but all in all, both him and Foose have been really good.
Okay, you alluded to him already. Let's get to Yegor Demin. He scored 10 all after halftime on Tuesday. 8 assists for him, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Really complete game. Most rebounds for Yegor since Thanksgiving. He's averaging 6.5 assists over his last 5 games. He's second in the Big 12. Second in assists per game in league play as a freshman. And he had the big three-pointer against Oklahoma State to take a lead from 11 to 14 in that second half.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking I just want to give him a big hug after he hit that three. You know, he felt like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders, some of the shooting woes. So that was a big moment for him. But, you know, his passing just never gets old. I thought the first pass of the second half where Trev hit a three out of a timeout thing we drew up, he just can deliver some amazing passes. And I think he's really grown in terms of not letting teams speed him up on the whole. Early on I thought he was just, you know, driving into double teams. Now he's kind of stringing things out, getting off the ball a lot more, you know, in a more timely fashion. So I think he's starting to figure this league out. And as he does that and gets stronger and gets more and more confident, you know, I think the sky is really the limit for him.
You see a pass like the one he made to Trev you're talking about. You see it live, you're pretty impressed. Are you anxious to get back to a monitor so you can watch it again and just see how good it was?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a lot where you go back and you have to hit, you know, slow motion and rewind several different times. But again, just to reiterate, I think he's really starting to figure things out. It's a lot different going from, you know, Europe to over here, especially being as young as he is, and playing against a different level of athlete. But I think he's starting to, you know, figure things out. And
you asked him to lead a pretty high-level team from the get-go as a freshman. There was a lot of, even though people think, oh, he's an accomplished player, he's done a lot, still a lot on his shoulders.
A lot on his shoulders. I mean, it's, you know, I don't think the average Joe, myself included, knows what it's like to walk around with the level of expectation that he has, or any high-level player that they're on this draft board, that draft board, they're this, they're that. They've been doing it since they were, you know, 15, blah, blah, blah. I mean, at the end of the day, there's still a human element to it, and there's a lot that comes with it. And I think he's, you know, he's figuring out how to manage all that. I think he's figuring out just kind of how to block noise out and just focus on being the best version of himself.
Great to see the progress so far. Let's take a look at final stats from Tuesday night's game. BYU does win it by a final score of 85-69. Most of the important numbers favored BYU, as you might expect. The Cougs go to 11-5, and again, snap that 3-game slide, go to 2-3 in league. Kind of a big log jam right now. 8 teams in the Big 12 are either 3-2 or 2-3, so a lot of room to move. Let's take a look at some of the more detailed stats. Things like defensive rebound percentage, offensive rebound percentage. Free throws are a bigger deal than normal for a team like Oklahoma State because of how they play. And in all of these categories, you superseded or came below, depending on how you would look at it, what OSU averages. So it was a great night for you in those more granular categories there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the offensive rebounding percentage, you know, we were able to get back, you know, over a third of our shots, which is a huge number. You know, I think getting to the free throw line as much as we did was a you know, a sign of our ability to kind of space them out and use their pressure against them, which I thought the guys did a good job of carrying over and executing the offensive game plan from that standpoint.
Let's check the team sheets as of January 16th. BYU still a top 50 team in net, so doing well there, that respect. You take a look at last week on the show, those were the rankings on the left, and then you see where BYU is today. Looking to get back in Joe's bracket for sure, but in a good spot with plenty of room to move yet here in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is fluid, as you know. I mean, it changes daily. You know, for us, it's about, you know, playing good and getting better every day and trying to, you know, stack up wins, you know, in this league. So obviously a very difficult league. I think you see it when you look at the scores night in and night out. I mean, you just never know what to expect from, you know, 1-point games to blowouts to, you know, hard to win on the road and all that type of stuff. So, you know, like I said, I mean, we're right there. You know, there's a lot of marginal things that sway games either way. And so just trying to keep our guys' confidence extremely high, knowing that we have work to do. But I do like the way that we responded, to digging ourselves in a little bit of a hole. And hopefully we can string together some good days and some good games. It's
still early in the Big 12 campaign, but more Big 12 teams are winning road games right now in conference play. You're looking to get hopefully your first that turns into multiple road wins here in the short term.
Yeah, you talked about it. I mean, obviously the Utah game is kind of its own animal, but nonetheless still a road game that we need to go get. They just got a big one at TCU. And then hopefully that springboards us into next week.
After playing 3 of its first 5 Big 12 games at home, BYU is on Saturday starting a stretch of 5 games in 8 on the road, starting with those back-to-back games at Utah. And you don't see Colorado there. We've somehow jumped out of Colorado, but they do pop up after Utah. So it'll go home to Oklahoma State, at Utah, at Colorado, which is not pictured. Then you're back home to take on Baylor. And there's also a Cincinnati game. Who did this? There's a Cincinnati game we're looking for as well. And so that is some of what you've got coming up in the Big 12 with a couple of games that are missing in action right now. But you know the schedule.
We know the schedule. Well, I'll let you reprimand those guys.
That's usually fixed in rehearsal. All right. Time for our first break. And this reminder that your day-to-day Cougar Sports play-by-play happens on BYU Sports Nation. Join Spencer Linton and Jerem Jordan weekdays at noon Eastern on BYU TV and BYU Radio.